And now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akugha as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akugha. We begin today's program with an update on the outbreak of coronavirus in the Niger Delta. In the course of the program, we will bring you reactions trailing the murder of Joseph PESSU, a young man shot dead recently in Warri, Delta State, by a trigger-happy soldier for allegedly refusing to comply with the restriction of movement in Delta State. Also, in our lineup for today's package, we'll tell you why anti-NDDC probe campaigners are after the Honorable Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio. And finally on the program, we'll bring you part 2 of our interview with founder for Hope for Niger Delta campaign, Comrade Sonny Ofehe, and this time we'll be talking about environmental degradation and illegal refining of petroleum products in the Niger Delta. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
Introducing the new face of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. We are charting the direction for our maritime and regulating the industry for a better, bigger, and more economically stable Nigeria. Evolved to serve you better. We are NIMASA. New face, rejuvenated service. NIMASA, changing the tides in your favor.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. Owing to the upsurge in confirmed cases of coronavirus disease across the country, state governments in the Niger Delta are taking more stringent measures to tackle the dreaded ailment. In this report, correspondent Tekana Amiofore gives us an update on the fight against COVID-19 in parts of the Niger Delta region.
With confirmed cases of COVID-19 in AKWA, IBOM, Edo, ONDO, and Rivers states, public authorities in the Niger Delta are beginning to redouble their efforts to contain the deadly virus. In Imo State, Governor Hope Uzodinma recently placed a ban on all forms of socio-economic activities considered counterproductive to the fight against coronavirus disease. To further curb the menace of the virus, the state government has built and delivered 6 isolation centers and has commenced fumigation of public places.
All the markets are hereby closed indefinitely. All forms of marriage ceremonies are prohibited going forward. All forms of burial and funeral ceremonies are also banned. All forms of open religious worship, church or mosque, are equally prohibited. This includes any form of crusade or open evangelism.
Following the directive on the lockdown of Imo State, Police Commissioner Fafuora Olani has mobilized a team to check unauthorized movements within the confines of the state.
We have briefed the men. They have to be civil in the nature of their duty. They don't have to harass anybody. They have to talk to them politely. If you don't have any reason for being on the road, you just have to be asked politely to go back home. That is what obtains in Imo State.
For his part, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa has directed council chairmen to closely monitor and enforce the social distancing rule that is in place to curb the spread of COVID-19 in Delta State.
With effect from Wednesday, April 1, 2020, movement of persons, goods and services into, within and out of all parts of Delta State are hereby stopped. All residents of the state not on essential duty of providing essential services are to stay home till further notice.
However, in Cross River State, Governor Ben Ayade was yet to restrict movement at the time of filing in this report. To avert an outbreak of coronavirus disease in the state, the Cross River State government had distributed over 5,200 personal protective equipment to the public at no cost. In Cross River State, it has become mandatory for everyone to wear a nose mask. And to enforce this policy, Governor Ayade has directed the state-owned garment factory to mass-produce nose masks for the protection of cross-river variants.
No nose mask, no movement. So you are limited and confined to your house. So we allow people to move with their nose mask so that they can at least go about their businesses respecting industrial and social distances.
When our crew visited Port Harcourt, the River State capital, places of social gatherings like markets and relaxation centers were under lock and key. The ever-busy garden city had become a shadow of itself.
That we still have one case up till now shows that the preventive measures, the facilities, the tracking that is going on, and all the measures that have to do with social distancing that are working and they're effective. As a government, we're not unmindful of the fact that there'll be hardship. It is a time for collective sacrifice. There'll be a lot of pain because we all need to put our hands on deck to contain the virus.
The battle against COVID-19 has become a matter of life and death for state governments in the Niger Delta. For the ordinary citizens, however, the unenvisaged battle comes at a cost that is almost unbearable.
Our children in the house, you know, when children, they are eating 3 times a day, now their food, their meal have been cut down. So government should do something.
You know, when you spend, there's no income, it affects the family. Do you understand? So it's literally telling on us. But, you know, you can't question the government. The government knows better.
For communities in the Niger Delta region and the rest of the world, this is one of the most trying periods in recorded history as they strive to contend with the growing menace of COVID-19. Nevertheless, they can gradually roll back the deadly coronavirus disease by remaining courageous and observing simple precautionary measures to stay alive. From Nigeria's oil-rich region, Tekena Amiayofori for Inside the Niger Delta.
Inside the Niger Delta.
I'm 10 years Jack Rich, so I can run outside, and I approve this message.
Everybody wash your hands well with soap and water well. Make we use sanitizer well and stay for our house well. Engineer Jack Rich say make we support the government to fight coronavirus to stay alive. My people, coronavirus no be scam. Anybody fit get am. Make we stay safe, avoid crowd, wash our hand for at least 20 seconds for water where they run. Make we no near each other too much. If your body or any person body around you they overhot, they cough anyhow or no they breathe normal, make una rush to the nearest health center for checkup. Make we no fear, because fear fit make our body weak to fight against this virus. Stay safe. Second one house. Engineer Jack Rich, so make we fight coronavirus to stay alive. This message now from Engineer Jack Rich Jr., Second Ruwan Hausa, President and Founder, Belema Oil.
Still on COVID-19, in Delta State, tragedy struck recently when an Ishakiri youth identified as Joseph PESSU was shot dead by an angry soldier for allegedly refusing to obey the stay-at-home order to prevent the spread of coronavirus in the state. Late Mr. Joseph PESSU was said to have gone in search of food for members of his family, including a sick father, when he was flagged down by soldiers on duty at Ubuangwe in the city of Warri. The deceased was reportedly shot at a close range as soon as he alighted from his car, and he died on the spot. Consequently, distraught father of the slain youth, Omar PESSU, is demanding justice for the unlawful killing of his son.
Me, as I dey here, I be widowers, I not get wife. Now let me take care of the children. This boy get pikin, 2 children. We be say, they my house now. Oh, it always about me. I beg, make government see to this matter, because this one, they don't pass. Be careful, we need justice. Beg government to meet and see to this matter.
The ugly incident has since sparked off public outrage in Delta State, just as the state government has called for a thorough investigation into the matter. The killing of Joseph PESSU by a Nigerian army soldier drew the ire of youths in the area who attacked the soldiers around. Erroneously thinking that the soldier was killed by the angry mob in Warri, some other soldiers, in an irresponsible display of esprit de corps and crass indiscipline, went on social media to threaten residents of Warri with violence and rape of women. In a swift reaction, the Army headquarters, however, apprehended the soldiers and assured the people of Delta State and indeed the general public of a fair investigation into the incident in accordance with applicable military laws. According to the Army authorities, the outcome of the investigation will determine the most appropriate disciplinary measures to be taken in the circumstances. And now away from COVID-19 reports, in recent weeks, opponents of the ongoing forensic audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) have flooded the media with publications denigrating the process and accusing the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, of high-handedness. This report, correspondent Chika Bodozie takes a look at the genesis of the ongoing probe into the activities of the NDDC as well as the role of Senator Godswill Akpabio, whose ministry supervises the intervention agency.
Lately, there has been a sustained campaign to discredit the ongoing probe into activities of the NDDC. The campaign is possibly sponsored by desperate individuals connected to the high-level mismanagement and maladministration of the NDDC in the last 20 years. The campaigners have also launched ferocious attacks on Senator Godswill Akpabio, Honorable Minister of Niger Delta Affairs and arrowhead of the forensic audit on NDDC. In their quest to dent his image and have him consigned to political irrelevance, Akpabio's detractors have accused him of high-handedness and diversion of funds meant to develop the Niger Delta region. The former Senate minority leader is also alleged to have arrogated to himself the role of supervising the NDDC and ensuring that the substantive board is not appointed to pilot affairs of the commission. Weighted on bare facts, all such allegations are unverifiable and misleading. Contrary to claims by sponsors of the anti-AKPABIO campaign that the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs orchestrated a forensic audit to intimidate and harass perceived opponents, it was actually part of President Buhari's comprehensive intervention into the plight of the Niger Delta under his new vision for the region. It will be recalled that President Buhari ordered a forensic audit of the NDDC from its inception in 2001 to 2019, shortly after meeting with governors of the 9 Niger Delta states on October 10, 2019. After the governors unanimously passed a vote of no confidence in the NDDC, it became incumbent on President Buhari to probe what is now generally known and referred to as a cesspool of corruption in the Niger Delta. Ever since, the president had left no one in doubt that his intention was to restore sanity in the NDDC. According to him, the forensic audit exercise was already yielding desired results prior to its actual commencement, as some unscrupulous NDDC directors and contractors were beginning to return proceeds of their loot to the federal government.
To date, the EFCC and other agencies of government have recovered over 3.7 billion naira in cash, as well as various assets worth billions of naira from some contractors and some directors of the commission. Furthermore, I am told that government agencies have placed liens on over 6 billion naira of assets which are being investigated.
For the avoidance of doubt, Senator Akpabio's appointment as Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs was strategic. After several months of shopping for the right candidate with a proven ability to change the ugly narrative in the Niger Delta, President Buhari finally settled for Senator Akpabio, hence his appointment in August 2019. Mr. President's choice was clearly defined by merit rather than political expediency. Before he ventured into partisan politics in 2001,
Senator AKPABIO was a successful lawyer who was able to prove his mettle in the corporate world. As a product of an entrepreneurial ecosystem, the immediate past governor of Akwa Ibom State had introduced many innovations in the governance of his states. By dint of hard work and foresight, AKPABIO was able to transform a relatively backward state into a destination of choice for local and foreign investors. In accusing Senator AKPABIO of meddling into affairs of the NDDC, opponents of the current move to restructure the commission are simply being economical with the truth. Even before Senator AKPABIO was appointed Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, the NDDC had been under the supervision of the ministry, while Pastor Usani, the immediate past minister, held sway. It was on account of inadequate supervision, giving rise to monumental graft in the system, that President Buhari entrusted its supervisory role to the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. Mr. President had also taken further steps to ensure proper monitoring of the NDDC activities by ordering a forensic audit on the commission. In February 2020, he set up a presidential monitoring committee led by Senator AKPABIO to keep a close watch on the commission's activities, and went on to further activate the NDDC Advisory Committee on March 10, 2020. The NDDC Advisory Committee, comprising governors of the 9 states in the Niger Delta and 2 other officials appointed by the President, is empowered by Section 11 of the NDDC Act to advise the board and closely monitor the Commission's projects and programs. In spite of its crucial role to the efficient management and administration of the NDDC, the advisory committee had been dormant until President Buhari's intervention.
The NDDC has already a master plan of the region, which was done sometime, and it is only when they work with the states and the states have inputs and they also understand what the states are doing that we can truly ensure that the master plan is actually followed through to the letters, working collaboratively.
Senator AKPABIO appears unruffled by the campaign to discredit the ongoing reforms in the NDDC and bring him into disrepute. He has since vowed to carry out the assignment entrusted to him by President Buhari with all sense of diligence.
I'm a Niger Delta, and I believe in Niger Delta, and I believe that God put us in Niger Delta to make a difference. I had the opportunity of being a governor in Niger Delta, and I left my mark behind. Until tomorrow, nobody can deny the fact that there was uncommon transformation in Akwa Ibom State. It is my determination to ensure that Mr. President's vision for the Niger Delta is realized in these few years remaining, and we are in a hurry. We need to work together to make sure that that region changes.
So far, no fewer than 30 directors have been redeployed from the corporate headquarters of the NDDC in Port Harcourt to the Commission's state offices. Their redeployment clearly is to protect the process of the forensic audit from undue interference and manipulation by vested interests. Judging from his body language, President Buhari is determined to get the NDDC back on track. No doubt, the mission to sanitize the NDDC and reposition it to effectively transform the Niger Delta region has begun. History has placed the captain of Uncommon Transformation, Senator Godswill AKPABIO, at the supervisory role of NDDC at this time. Instead of trying to pull him down, all Niger Deltans must join hands and support Senator Godswill AKPABIO to enthrone transparency and good governance in the NDDC to enable it to transform the region and positively impact on the lives of the long-suffering peoples of the Niger Delta. Inside the Niger Delta.
Frontline environmental rights activist based in the Netherlands, Comrade Sonny Ofehe, is of the view that sustainable development is impossible in the Niger Delta in the face of massive ecological devastation in the region. In the concluding part of this interview with Inside the Niger Delta, Comrade Sonny Ofehe throws more light into the twin problems of environmental degradation as well as illegal refining of petroleum products plaguing the region. We're going to talk now about oil bunkering.
Okay.
I, of course, know that you went to visit the creeks where you met some of the the people involved in oil bunkering itself. But tell me your own assessment of oil bunkering in Nigeria, because there's the legal one and there's the illegal oil bunkering. So let's talk about the illegal one and the problems it's creating for Nigeria.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, we have to look at it from how Shell, as a multinational oil company, has defined oil bunkering. Yes. Shell has consistently claimed that they lose about 100,000 barrels of crude oil per day to illegal oil bunkering. And now, when you look at the quantity of such loss, you will agree with me that the attributing such loss to mere criminality within the Niger Delta area is one thing that I don't agree to at all, because it takes a lot of resources, it takes a lot of technical know-how, it takes a lot of logistics, and it takes a lot of heavy equipment like barges, big barges, to be able to move 100,000 barrels of crude oil per day.
So you think that it's all organized?
It's an organized crime.
Organized crime.
Yes, it's an organized crime that has a lot of layers. And I mean, of course, when you even steal such crude oil, you need to find how to get them out. I mean, how do you take them out? If you take that kind of quantity through the waters, then you need heavy barges. Now you have a company, a multinational oil company that is exposed to modern technology in the 21st century, where you can sit in a remote location and monitor all your pipeline activities. I mean, Shell has the capacity to be able to produce that. So you can also monitor your pipelines and to ensure that you cut down those numbers. So if those numbers are worrisome and you are not taking drastic steps to curtail them, then there is a problem somewhere. And now, what we have suggested as a solution is the European model. Call on Nigerian oil. If you really want to stop oil bunkering, call on Nigerian oil. If there's oil spill on the North Sea in Europe today, just with the color, even the layman can know where the crude oil is coming from. Because every country that produces crude oil is assigned a specific color to its crude oil, which can be taken off in the process before you sell. So that when people steal Nigerian crude, there will be no place to sell it on the international market, because they do not come with the coloration that should identify the oil as Nigerian oil.
But you know, there's so much the government has promised to do. They promised to open modular refineries for people in the Niger Delta to discourage, illegal oil bunkering. Those modular refineries are not up yet. They've been asked to license even the illegal oil bunkerers so that the business can be done legally. They don't want to even discuss that. And it makes me, at times I want to ask, is it possible that the Nigerian government is an accomplice in this illegal oil bunkering itself?
When you talk about a problem in a sector, and then outside people are offering you solution to solving this problem, particularly in the time that we live in right now, where technology, it's simple to acquire, thanks to satellite devices all out there, drones. You can use those things to monitor. And then when you now see the reluctance to tackle the issues head on, then you begin to question the same people who are complaining. And that is the situation we found ourselves today. In 2009, I actually took time to come in with some camera team to investigate the illegal oil refineries, because I was so concerned about the health consequences of such an action. And then the health consequences to our people, our children who are supposed to be in school, but at the same time, doing this kind of business, earning money for some big people who enjoy the bigger chunk of the money. Bigger profit. And then the solution of modular oil refinery, it's timely, because we have to sort of legitimize what the boys are doing. Because come to think of it, the sites that I actually visited, they refine 400 barrels of crude oil per day. with a workforce of 3 persons. So, modular oil refinery, it's the only solution to dealing with that problem because you cannot eradicate it. As at the time, as at 2009, when we went to this community in one of the riverine areas, our statistics showed us that they had about 3,600 illegal refinery sites scattered all over the Niger Delta. 3,600 as at 2009. That figure would have multiplied by now.
Oh, most definitely. I can assure
you understand? And those spots, like the very spot we visited, would never grow plants again. And this is not the oil company creating this pollution. This is not the oil company polluting our environment. This is our own people polluting our environment in addition to the pollution that we're already suffering from the oil companies. And then you have a government who is not taking that thing serious.
Inside the Niger Delta.
And with that report, we draw the curtain on the program. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. We'll be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. Until same time, same station next week, remember to always wash your hands, maintain proper hygiene, and keep safe social distance to avoid spreading the coronavirus disease. My name is Mamode Akugha. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.